What's up, Dad?
What's up, Dad? What's up? What's up, Dad? What's up?
You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it.
What's up, guys? It is Grayson Thompson here with the next What's Up, Dad podcast. This week, we got Nick Carpenter on here with us. This is going to be an exciting episode, and a couple of reasons why. Most of the people that I have had on the episode in the past, I've had a bigger connection with, right? And it's kind of funny. Nick and I, in some capacity, have known each other through Facebook land for a long time, and whatever it is, but never really had a ton of conversations with one another. And it was really cool to see his name pop up on the list, filling out the form. And it was exciting to get to know him a little bit more. I've obviously, it's funny when you see people posting on Facebook, you see all that stuff going on, and then all of a sudden they answer a questionnaire, and you're like, oh, okay. You get one of those kind of things, and it was just nice to have that. So without further ado, I'm going to let Mr. Carpenter introduce himself, tell you a little bit about him and everything in between, and we will get the show rocking and rolling.
Yeah, thanks, Grayson. Really appreciate you having me on here, man. It's definitely an honor to be here with you. For me, I came up as a Navy brat. My dad was in the Navy. He worked in the supply department, and just my whole life living on military bases. I always remember as a kid driving, or riding my bike with my little brother. He's 6 years younger than me, and riding on base at the time. My dad, he was a Navy chief, and the chiefs, they have this hangout called the Goat Locker, and riding up to the Goat Locker, and they have like a pool table. It's kind of like a, trust bar, right? They have beers for $1 or whatever, that kind of thing. And it was just a cool place. And it was like my first experience of camaraderie and kind of what that, what camaraderie sort of was. And just, seeing that in for him. And then I went in the Air Force coming out of high school, and then I was a cop in the Air Force security forces. And so again, I had my own experience of camaraderie, and then going to Iraq. And of course, in those kind of moments, you can really experience camaraderie in even a tighter way. But coming out of the Air Force, I got into real estate. I just loved the experience of buying my first house when I was in the Air Force in North Carolina. And it was so fun. We actually built the house. We picked out a piece of land and had a builder build it. And it was an awesome experience. And so that kind of pushed me to get my real estate license coming out of the Air Force. But reality was I wasn't very good at dealing with the buyers and sellers. I just got really good at the marketing. So I kind of changed my business model from, dealing with people to doing referral business, and ultimately just started training and ended up on staff at Keller Williams. At the time, it was the number 4 office in the country. And
oh, wow.
At Keller Williams, I actually met a mortgage company, Benchmark Mortgage, and I ended up getting recruited by them to help them do a corporate marketing team at their office in Dallas. And that's kind of where I put all my real estate marketing together with loan officers, where today it's almost this hybrid of teaching loan officers real estate marketing so that they have a lot of different ways to help their partners. And, so that's sort of how I ended up here today. And, today running the Legion of Loan Officers and a couple different companies that all are serving loan officers in different ways.
Yeah, it's exciting to see. I was scrolling through your Facebook page, just like I do for everybody that I get on with. And what you just said, the camaraderie that you saw as, I don't know what age you just said, as a kid riding your bike to the did you say the goat or whatever it was called?
The Goat Locker, yeah.
The Goat Locker, right? So riding your bike to the Goat Locker to see the camaraderie, that's what you live on a daily basis, the camaraderie of people. It's funny, you are always having, if it's not pictures of you and your family or you like showing something, it's you and a bunch of people. And I think that's where a lot of people miss, advertising at times, right? It's just them. And they don't show everything that's going on. There's just this facade that's out there with regards to it. But I think you can see through that when you see people around other people and you see people like in their true colors and just a different way, right? Like you're not hiding anything that you have going on. I'm not into marijuana, for example, but I loved your post the other day. I thought it was fantastic. it's real. I've known that about you for a long time, right? And I just thought it was amazing. You're like, oh yeah, we're making this stuff out of it. This is last year's, and I'm like, that's freaking cool as crap right there. Like, this guy's got some really cool stuff going on over here, But it's exciting. I think it's just exciting, and I think undoubtedly that camaraderie from when you were a kid has put you into your situation you're in today. So it's good to see that. Good to see the connections that we have with our past, with our families, and all those things, and how they have come together at this point in time. So
yeah, for sure. What's interesting about like bringing up cannabis and stuff is just like for me, sometimes I talk about it even more than maybe either I should or people would prefer me to, and the reason actually is so that almost bring it up in an obnoxious way, right? So that people that are against it they'll just go away. And
sure,
they won't get drawn into my circle where if we're at a live event and it comes around or whatever, it's not like a surprise or they're not shocked by it. In fact, it's cool because a lot of times I have people, when they meet me at a live event for the first time, they like want to smoke and they want to have that experience. And I tell people it bumps them up 2 points in the friend scale, so it's always interesting, like who seeks me out for that thing. So
sure.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, the same way that it pushes some people away, it's pulled some clients closer, and they, I made some old like music videos like to a Drake song before, and I had some big jars sitting in the background, and 2 people joined the Legion off that video and specifically mentioned that it was, they're like, man, I can't believe you just had these jars like just sitting out in the, in the video. And so, yeah, it was pretty fun. So yeah, I mean, I think sometimes being like, you have to figure out how to make sure that your real life personality translate into online, so nobody's surprised or whatever. They're just like, oh my God, this is exactly who I thought I was going to meet in real life when they get with you.
And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I apologize, I said marijuana, you said cannabis. I don't know the terminology. It's all I like. So it's a learning lesson for me today, and whatever it's supposed to be called, the reality of it is it's what it is. So, and whatever terminologies that's supposed to be used, I'll figure it out one day. But you had mentioned it uses itself as a way to draw and release people from like your presence, right? And I think a lot of times us as dads or business owners and everything, we don't do enough of that. We actually fight for those people that don't even want to be a part of what we have going on.
Yep.
And you had put somewhere in your thing, let me find it here. Favorite piece of advice you've ever received. There are enough people who will do business your way that you don't need the ones who won't. And that is the epitome of that, right? Like, I mean, and that's kind of like a broader stance of it, but the reality of it is that's the aspect that we're dealing with, right? And I don't think, and I've kind of got to that in my business practice. Like we do business with people that want to do business with us. You know what I mean? Like I'm friends with people that want to be friends with us. I'm involved with my kids' friends that want to be friends with, you know what I mean? Like it's all a relationship building game at the end of the day. And it starts back with that camaraderie that we all talked about. You know what I mean? Like how do we do that? And how do we include to a point that we exclude by them doing that? So yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's fun to look at that. And you also said, and I'm a big, being not I didn't use this to get into this topic. However, it opens up the door for me to bring it up. Right. So like my brother, unfortunately passed away to an overdose a few years back. And, one of the things you had posted about the other day, because I try to like hack people's feed, just know what's going on and understand where they're at. You had posted April 1st, New Mexico opening up recreational cannabis sales today. And your last statement, and this is how I know that, like, regardless of my stance on cannabis, right, and in capacity, it says every veteran should have safe, legal access. And I think of it this way: if my brother had legal access to cannabis, maybe he wouldn't have gone to the extent of the drugs that actually made him OD'd. You know what I mean? Right. Maybe that could have saved him in some capacity because he got on drugs that put him in a situation that he needed to relieve his pain. And whether it's the
same way, man. Yeah, totally. I can 100% relate to that.
Yeah.
Jessica's cousin, my wife's cousin, he overdosed, from heroin, and And I think kind of the same thing is he was in Texas, and maybe if he, I don't know, right? I mean, sometimes you don't know, but maybe if he did have, better access to cannabis, or knew that he wouldn't get arrested having cannabis on him the same way he would if he had heroin, maybe he would have chosen something different, but particularly with veterans, I mean, there's, you hear a lot about there's 22 veterans a day committing suicide in America on average. And I think, our minds can really mess with us. And it's, sometimes people just need something, especially from like night terrors and some of that kind of stuff, where people can get better rest and not like just go down this kind of dark rabbit hole that can occur.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely wish that every state would get on board. We did a lot of work in Texas when we lived there to try to get the laws changed, but Texas their system is, a little archaic, but yeah, I mean, I definitely hope that at some point in my lifetime, the federal government can change their stance. And I mean, I feel like veterans have earned, the VA is fast to pass out pills and stuff from there. Oh. They'll give you pills for everything. I mean, it's like, why shouldn't we be able to try natural remedy first versus, having to go with pills and stuff. So yeah, I hope to see that change at some point, man. And yeah, sorry to hear about that happen with your brother. Like, definitely can understand that.
Yeah, it's tough. And I think you 100% hit the nail on the head there. They are the fastest, absolute fastest to hand out pills and pills and pills and pills. And I'll never forget my brother when he first had it, because he ended up getting hooked on pain pills over time and ended up doing harder stuff and whatnot. That's kind of where it stemmed from. But it was like, you go to the doctor. Hey, I got this problem. Okay, prescribe you this. Go to the doctor. Hey, but that problem's solved, but I got this problem. Okay, prescribe you this. It was like the cyclical cycle of, let me just keep stacking the stuff on top of it. It never solved any issues, because more issues come about, and then that led to just masking a major issue. And I think the VA is a major problem with regards to that, but I mean, it happens everywhere else too. You have a combination of people getting overprescribed for no reason whatsoever. Then you have a combination of people not even being able to get medication because they can't afford it, or they don't, whatever the circumstances are. So it's crazy. It's crazy. I hope there are changes, in the future, one way or another. I think it's coming. It has to.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
coming fast. It's one of the reasons we're moving to Oklahoma. We're in the process of moving right now to Oklahoma, with partially in hopes of getting into the business there, because it has it's a pretty interesting market right now. They're only medical, but they have a lot of dispensaries. They have a really interesting medical program that doesn't have stipulations. And then they're voting on adult use this fall. So my assumption is that it's going to pass, because it's a very, like they call it, the nickname is Smokelahoma, and it's very cannabis friendly. And so I'm sure it's going to pass, so that by 2023 or 2024 at the latest, they'll have full rec. And man, like 16-year-old Nick could never imagine owning a dispensary, but I see it. Like, it's on the horizon. It's coming,
Sure. And that's exciting.
That'd be super cool. Yeah.
That's exciting. No, very, very cool. Very, very cool. Other things, I was scrolling through your page, and something else that stuck out. So there was two funny things. So we're going to start with a funny one. Brain cells die, skin cells die, and even hair cells die. But the fat cells in my stomach must have accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, since they have eternal life. I was like, that is freaking hilarious. This guy's going on tilt right here with some funny stuff. That's the reality, right? It's just, to try to break that ice with regards to it. But you did have something up, another post that I thought there was a lot of relation, being the What's Up Dad podcast, and we'll get into some dad things that you got going on and more business stuff and stuff, because that's all fun. There was another post that you had, and let me scroll back to it because I'm all over the place here. And you had a post of a picture with this guy. It reminds me of the no regrets tattoo. And this one was the never don't give up. And you give this little story about you can work your butt off, but if all that effort is going to old, outdated ideas that you don't work in this squeezed market, and nothing's going to change, right? And I take that in a lot of relations. Now, a lot of stuff is business related, and that's super cool. But I think of that from a parental perspective. And where I kind of cross over to bring that up is something really unique is you homeschool your son.
Yep.
And I think that's super cool. Our kids go to private school, a private Christian school, and we've invested into that. That's as close as we could get to homeschooling. Can't do it. Bless your heart. It's just maybe in the cards one day, I guess. But tell me about that. Tell me about, how did you guys arrive in that? Did you start off with homeschooling? Did you? I know you moved around a little bit, so that obviously plays a factor. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the first time that we homeschooled is when we lived in Puerto Rico. We started homeschooling because the school in the neighborhood that we lived in was supposed to be English first, but it really wasn't. So there was still a lot of, it was our first year in Puerto Rico. My son didn't know any Spanish. So a lot of times it was almost awkward for him in class because he was one of the, only a handful of, 2 or 3 kids in the class that were like from America, from the mainland, and only spoke English. And so it was tough for him. So that was the first time that we started homeschooling. And then when we moved back to Colorado, we just, decided to keep homeschooling him. So we use this thing called Time for Learning. And so it helps a ton. It basically it's like online school, more or less. But it's all self-paced. And so it's been really great. And then when we moved, we have a house here in the mountains that we live in right now. And they have a school here. He was in the school. So we put him, he was back into a charter school. And it was actually, we took him back out because of COVID, essentially.
Gotcha.
There was just kept happening at the school. It just kept, and my wife, she has a lot of medical issues. She can't really take, the risk of just constantly, dealing with that. So that's why we ended up changing it up. But basically what he does, he gets up in the morning, he does school. And what we do is with the curriculum that he's on, you set like when you want school to end. So you say like, okay, I want school to be over on May 15th.
Okay.
And it tells you, okay, if you want school to end that day based on, 5 days a week of school, here's how much work you should do a day. And so what we do is make him do like 50% more than what they suggest because he's really fast. And so, like even still, he was getting done every day in like 2 hours or 3 hours sometimes. And so it was, then he could do his chores and then go about whatever he wanted to do, playing Fortnite or, Minecraft or whatever stuff. And so, for us, it's been helpful because we do travel a ton. And so him being able to just do school, whenever he, at will from his laptop has been really good as well. And then, so I mean, I definitely enjoy the freedom that it brings. I do think there's some give and take, right?
Okay.
There's not as much socialization. So he misses out on, having to deal with kids his own age and, just what, I don't know, right? Like the bullies and, school stuff that occurs, you know what I mean? These kind of things, I think in some cases he's missing out on a little bit of that, but he's gained a lot by being able to travel with us all over the place.
Gotcha.
Like kind of controlling his own schedule. He actually finished school 6 weeks. We gave him a little incentive to finish school early and he finished 6 weeks early. So,
oh, wow.
I was like, man, yeah, it's crazy. So, he's been able to have like a little longer summer, or maybe start 6th grade earlier. So, we're like, man, maybe if he stays on this path, he could graduate a lot, like when he's only 16 or something like that versus 18. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I definitely don't think it's for everybody. For us, it's worked out well because, the computer is doing the majority of the heavy lifting in terms of the teaching. Time for learning is, it's like listening to teachers teach. And then there's little quizzes and tests and all that kind of stuff so that it's all graded and official and recorded and everything. And then we just mix in some kind of outings and, what do you used to call it when you were in school? You get to go on like a
field
little
trip.
Yeah, like field trips, kind of mixing some of that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it's worked out really well for us.
Today we're going to go to Chipotle. We're going to learn about Mexican food. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's super cool. I've always wondered. I've known kids that were homeschooled. I've seen that stuff, but I just didn't, know how exactly it all works. It's super unique that you can speed it up or slow it down based on your kids' their abilities, I guess. Knowing that he's working a little faster. I'm sure maybe at some point in time he'll slow down and then pick it right back up, but you don't know. You know what I mean? You can kind of move it as follows. So that's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, he was a master at the fake stomach ache when he was in school.
Okay.
Because he would be like, he would just get bored and he'd be like, oh, my stomach hurts, I need to go home. Be like, oh, okay. It was happening like once a week.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it just became like an we just expected like, okay, well, I wonder what day Max is going to get bored of school. But I can relate some because I was sort of the same way in school where I was always getting in trouble for talking because I was done my work really fast and stuff. And so I think in some cases he just deals with some of those same things. So yeah, the homeschool it's worked out really well for us, especially because of our travel schedule, because I do travel a lot and we try to all go versus just me going. So it's been really nice.
That was going to be my next question. So the family gets to see the world. I mean, whatever capacity is, because I know you guys have done quite a few trips in different places and whatnot. Does he get to see and be involved in like the camaraderie of the people at your events that you go to and stuff like that? Like, how involved is he there? Like, how does that work out? I'm just curious.
Yeah, just depending on what the event is. I usually try to bring him to something so he gets to see some of it. So like I had an event in Charlotte and it was just a 1-day event and he just sat in the room, for the event that whole day. So he got to see that one. We're going to Dominican Republic next month. Basically we're doing like 2 events back to back. So it's like a smaller event and then a little bit bigger event. And on the second event, Max and my wife, they're all coming in for that one. It's like families are coming to that. So he'll get to be there for, in the Dominican and come to that event. That's basically 4 nights, 5 days event that we're doing there. So he probably won't come in the room for the actual events themselves, but everybody's bringing their families and we'll all be hanging out by the pool and stuff together. So it should be a pretty good time. It's kind of like half, 25 or 30% work and, 60% not working or whatever.
Sure. Well, I mean, the reality of it is, like, if he can be a sponge at this, like, I can imagine what, Nick 2.0 or Max is going to look like. You know what I mean? Like, if he graduates at 16, like, that's a pretty crazy thing. I know a while back, and I'm assuming he still does it based on your answer to the questions, like, collecting Pokemon cards, for example. I'm sure he's out there hustling, like, creating reminds me a little, whether people like him or not, Gary V talking about it, you know what I mean? Like collecting Pokemon cards or doing stuff like that, like just creating a hustle, and I don't want to say the, free time from school, but the dedicated versus the riffraff that you would have from going to school 6 to 8 hours a day. And he can pick up something new and run with it. So that's pretty exciting. So,
it has been cool. There's a really good website, masterclass.com.
Okay.
And it's like it's $19 or $30 a month or something like that. And they have a whole bunch of classes from like leading experts on topics in the world. So there's a skateboarding masterclass with Tony Hawk. There's a cooking masterclass with Gordon Ramsay. Just like really awesome classes. So that's been cool too, where we can make him take master classes as part of his curriculum. So he'll do the time for learning on school and then do a master class in addition. So, and I think to me, it's just a way. Everyone isn't going to be interesting to him necessarily, but it's a way that he can kind of figure out, what is he into? What does he like and don't like, by just trying some new stuff.
Sure. No, that's awesome. Was that a Shark Tank item? I feel like I heard masterclass, like it was a Shark Tank pitch.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it could have definitely been.
It sounds like one of the pitches.
I mean, it's very, very high quality. Yeah, that super high quality production. It's like real life, like in the Gordon Ramsay one, he wants you to make dishes with him in the training, and Tony Hawk, you should have a skateboard and actually, be practicing the tricks as he teaches them to you. And so it's not just about sitting on a computer learning, but it's like, how do you take and do it in real life? There's a magic one. There's a magic masterclass. You can learn how to do some magic tricks. It's pretty cool. Some of the stuff they have on there.
That's awesome. That's all. Is that where you got to give yourself the, what is it? Something magician of mortgages. Is that where you got that from?
Magician.
Did I say?
Yeah. People have just always said that marketing I have, like, magic tricks.
No, I will. This is a not a shameless plug, because I'm not shameful to say this, but I will tell you, I've known people that have gone through Nick's program, and it works. Let's just put it that way. They've been extremely successful with the things that have gone through it and what they've learned. They're different producers in the world. Let's just put it that way. So awesome.
I appreciate that.
Did I lose you there? You there? Okay. Your video went out. I just want to make sure we're good. So, All right, cool. Well, moving on. That's kind of the stuff I wanted to talk about. I wanted to hit on different topics. I'm working on different topics, different things for people. It's been fun to get to know people on a different level, like I said, especially looking at the stuff they have. Undoubtedly men are loud chewers, okay? Because you're not the first person. I'm on that list too. And there's been multiple people that have been loud chewers on here. So it's kind of funny how you bring that to the conversation here. Also, you're not the only person that's put Risk or Ticket to Ride. I mean, those are just, if I ask what's the GOAT as far as board games, that might have been listed up there at the top. I love playing those games. They're a thinker in a different way, right? So
yeah, for sure.
That's
the game we
cool.
play more
that's
than any
cool.
other game is Cover Your Assets right now.
Love
so
it.
It's a card
Freaking
game.
love it.
Yeah. Cover Your Assets is super fun.
Love it. If you don't know how to play it, it's super weird. It doesn't make any sense. But if you get people that know how to play it, I'll never forget, not this past year, but the year before last, friends, a group of guys, we always get together. We go on like a hike. 3 or 4 years ago, we did like a 40-mile hike together through Hocking Hills or that area in Ohio. And then the last trip we did, we just stayed at a campground. We went on like day hikes. But every night we come back and we play. The first night, we grilled steaks out and we played Cover Your Assets and we drank maybe just a little too much. I'll never forget. We're playing this game and they had to come and tell us to simmer down a little bit. And we're just like, we're having a good time. They're like, what are you doing? I mean, out of all things, but I'll never forget, if you know how to play, it's such a competitive, fun game to understand like the value and being able to pay attention. It has everything and nothing to do with money, which is funny. It's just weird. Strategic, interesting game. So
for sure.
Very cool.
I think everybody has an equal chance of winning, in general, as long as you're like, yes, it'll take a few times of playing to kind of really, really get it, but you got to look for those silvers and golds. That's the hustle.
Yeah. Well, you're right, but everybody I've seen slight different strategies win that game. So it's not the same strategy. I have a very unique strategy I play with. It's boded me well in the past, right? Like, but I've seen some other strategies. I'm like, that's pretty good right there. You know what I mean? Like just how they go at it, right? It's like, I'm going to let you cover that up so I can get to uncover it, right? Like, I'm like, how did you think that far in the game? Like, well, what? This makes no sense, but that's cool. All right. That's funny. Okay. So moving on, a couple more questions and things I got for you with regards to it. So we talked about, homeschooling, super cool scenario. Talked about traveling. That's awesome with family, very cool with that. Before we talk about something that I think super cool, I want to know about something else that is a super question mark for me. Cheetah juice. What is cheetah juice? I have no idea what it is. So give me that.
Yeah. My partner at Ticket Mortgage, his name is Casey Knowles. And we were at an event with Renee Rodriguez at Amplify. If you're familiar with Renee's Amplify events, an incredible 3-day event, super life-changing. Everybody that's trying to be somebody should go through Amplify. And
okay.
So we were there and Casey was kind of giving his story. And, Renee was asking what's your why? What's your big why? This kind of thing. Casey was like, I don't have a why. Like, I'm just like a cheetah. I just wake up in the morning and I just do cheetah stuff. And, it's like a cheetah doesn't think about what to do, right? They just go run, kill, hunt, they just do cheetah stuff. And that's what I do. I just do whatever has to be done. And Casey is also a prolific diet Red Bull drinker, or the sugar-free Red Bull drinker. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, that's like your cheetah juice. So then it just kind of spawned this, can we make cheetah juice? I don't know, right? Can it be a thing? So we made a logo. And at first it was just a fun thing to have on a shirt. And then we just started looking into it, turns out you can make energy drinks. And so we figured out how to do that. And so now we have cheetah juice as an actual product, as the official drink of Ticket Mortgage. And oddly enough, it's super delicious, right? At first we only ordered a little bit of it because we didn't know. So it was really expensive each can because we just ordered a small amount, but now we order by the pallet because it's delicious and it sets us apart. Nobody's ever seen a mortgage company with a energy drink before. So it's it's like a point of conversation, just like this, right? It's been really cool. So that's basically what we use it for, is just little giveaways, have it at events. But all spawned off of the fact that Casey, called himself the Cheetah. And now we have all this Cheetah stuff like Cheetah Coaching, this other program, Cheetah LO. And, all this stuff really all spawned off of Casey just saying like he doesn't have a why. He just acts like a cheetah. So that's where it originated from.
I've never heard it in cheetah terminology before. However, I've heard, is it sharks just wake up and bite stuff all day long?
Right.
I've heard that version of it, but the cheetah version is quite comical. The fact that you guys took it that far to create your own energy drink. And by the way, just let me know how much I need to send you. I just want one. I love trying new energy drinks. I love trying them. I'm like a serial energy drink entrepreneur. I want to see them all, try them all. I love the creativity that has came out of that realm. It's been rather fun. So
yeah,
let me know
make sure you send me your address. Yeah, I got you. I'll shoot you over a little. I'm going to get some more from Casey. I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks. We're waiting for it to come in right now. And
gotcha.
I'll shoot you a little 4-pack. Yeah, we're working on right now on creating like a box that would be for a 4-pack or 6-pack or something, that would be so that, because right now when we get them, they're on just flats, like 12 to a flat or something like that.
Okay.
So it's a little awkward. Sometimes they like fall over or whatever. So we're looking at how can we put it into a cooler design. One of the most fun things that we did with a realtor in Colorado Springs is we bought a little refrigerator from Walmart, like our little college fridge. We sent it to a wrap place and had it wrapped, like a cheetah juice wrap on it. And then we gave it to a realtor and we filled it with cheetah juice so that it sat in their office. So every realtor saw it, every client saw it. And, and all of a sudden we're like embedding ourselves as their mortgage partner through the cheetah juice. And we're just like, hey, anytime you need a refill, just let us know. We'll just send somebody over to refill it.
That's
so
fantastic.
Yeah, it's been like a fun little tchotchke.
I would say that's beyond a tchotchke at this point in time. So
yeah,
I would say that's beyond. I love following, and I follow a couple, like Ghost Energy, follow a bunch of people on YouTube, 3D Energy, and it's amazing, like the ebbs and flows of business and stuff that's going on, right? And again, the fact that you guys went out and made your own is just like, I'm like,
man, you could
yes.
so easy start getting free energy drinks. Just have a YouTube channel. Like I've got a buddy, Ryan. I've been trying to think what's his last name, but it's just not coming to me. But he has a YouTube channel called Wichita Cheapskate. And like, it's one of the things that he does is he basically like makes YouTube videos trying energy drinks.
Mm-hmm.
And, so now he's to the point where sometimes he gets them for free.
Sure.
Because people just want him to do it. So, that could be like a fun side project.
That would be fun. It's funny. Most people don't realize, right? They don't look into it. We see all these people that try products and stuff out. Most of the time, they just they go buy a product, they try it out, they return the product. You never see the product again. It's comical. It's like all these reviews of $5,000 MacBook Pros or brand new Surface computers and iPhones. How did you buy 7 of them? I just put them on a credit card, open them up for 5 days, shot a quick video, return those bad boys. And oh, by the way, I made a couple $1,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 off a video, right? Like people, there's like this barrier that's literally always in front of us that we can never get through in business and everything else. I mean, you see the old adage of, I'll go spend, we both have $1,000. I'll spend $600 to make myself look good, to take good pictures. You'll spend $300 just on stuff, but have more money left over, right? And you don't look like you have anything. And I'm like, where do you want to be in your life with regards to it? You want to have something that's thriving and booming versus something that's a facade. And
Exactly.
and I love the motivation to make it happen. So super exciting. And believe it or not, these connections, like most people don't realize, like this has been a super unique podcast, this episode right here, because we're not talking about a ton of parenting stuff, dad stuff, father stuff. However, this is a connection that without talking about it, Nick is living in his life, showing his kid and showing other people around the world like how it works. And I am, like I said, when I mean Nick 2.0, we'll just call it Max, you know what I mean? Like there is going to be that one day because your kid is learning so much by dad just doing, because you could have easily said, it's just cheetah juice. We don't want to run through that. It's just this. I don't want to do that. But like you are taking the next step and he's learning from that. You're taking the next step and you could have just stopped at homeschooling and not done anything else. You're like, hey, I want him to learn entrepreneurially or whatever he wants to. Masterclass. Boom. We're doing a little extra. I want him to come and be along events. boom, we're doing a little extra. So it's just exciting to see the connection, and can't wait. Like the future is bright is what I'm getting at. And that's exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah, man, I think so too. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely been fun, having him around as much as he is, versus sometimes, because you can feel like sometimes with public school that it's like a weekend relationship or, some of that kind of thing. And yeah, it's been great for us for sure. I think like you said, I don't think it's for everybody, but it's been awesome for our lifestyle.
So we do have a babysitter. However, our babysitter just helps us like nights, weekends when my wife and I want to get a date night for the most part. My mother-in-law does watch our one daughter because both my wife and I work in our agency and do our business that we have, right? And it's hard enough working with my wife in business, but however, most people that I know, and this could be a shocker or frustrating for people to hear, people that are in our industries, there's a crossover in business ownership, and whether it's mortgages or insurance, it doesn't really matter. Real estate,
Sure.
I got a connection there. So many people only have that afternoon and or bedtime relationship with their kids or weekend relationship. And I'll be darned if that's what it is for me. I mean, I talked to another guy on another podcast. It was in a sermon that I heard the other day. It's weird. Like, we only have so many years to impact our kids' lives. And if you want to go ahead and remove that and reduce that down to what is less than your teachers have with them on a daily basis, less than the bus driver has with them, less than, all those things. I mean, you could very easily do that. And then think about the lack of impact that you have on their future, right? And we oftentimes wonder, well, why does Johnny not have a relationship with his daddy? Well, Johnny's 32 years old and his dad spent about 5 hours with him over a 10-year period. You know what I mean? Like, I understand it. Like, I can't be upset with you because that's what happened. I mean, I'm a proponent of go out and figure it out. But the reality of it is, like, we've conditioned ourselves to not be a part of it. So it's time to break that cycle.
Key is you gotta, I think if anything, the key for dads is to get out of the house with the kids. Because it's interesting. We were talking about this the other day. If I think about my memories as a kid, with my parents, and I think about my mom versus my dad, I don't have nearly as many like really fond memories with my mom as I do with my dad. And I think the reason is, like, me and my dad, we did Cub Scouts together. We did Boy Scouts together. So we were like going camping and hiking. And, my best memories are not anything that happened in the house, right? It's always like, oh, this camping trip that we saw these deer with the velvet on their antlers. And it was so amazing to be like laying there on a hammock next to a creek and the deer walk through. And, it's like doing stuff outside of the house, even though I probably had a lot of memories. I'm sure we had a lot of great times doing stuff with my mom in the house, but she was never like a let's go out of the house and go do fun stuff together person. And so when I try to remember that about with Max, is like all the times we play Fortnite on the computers, that's probably not going to be the thing when he's like 30 that he thinks about. He might think about that, like, oh man, we played so much Fortnite, but I don't know, right? Because I don't think so. I think it's going to be some of these trips and, different stuff that we've done outside of the house that's going to ultimately be the memory. So it's like, even if the truth is having 10 hours, but if you're not doing anything together, you're on your phone and this kind of stuff, that's no better than having only, like, you're probably better off having only 1 or 2 hours that you actually do something where they actually have your attention. I think right now in this day and age, it's really difficult, but also extremely necessary to have like time with them without your phone. Because it just feels like a constant distraction. And, when somebody knows, it's like, man, it feels so awesome when you have somebody's undivided attention, right? I mean, I think a lot of times doing these podcast interviews, it's part of it is like, we just have us right now, we're not like also looking at Facebook messages and different stuff. And, you can do that even if you feel like you're spending quality time, but then, every 10, 15 minutes you pull out your phone to check something. Like, the kid doesn't feel like they have the undivided attention. So, it's just that, right? It's like, just find those moments of connection. And I think for parents, it's really important to get outside the house and create memories.
I'm going to have to change the podcast to whatever we just you just sunk into that 2 minutes of. I want to say, I don't know, what we 10, 11, 12 podcasts in, how many ever it is, that has been the theme that every dad has provided right there, whether we live it or not live it, right? Like, the reality of it is, we know where we need to go. We need to go to having that undivided attention. I preached that for a long time with different groups, small group, networking groups and stuff like that. Like, my kid I would rather stay outside for 30 more minutes on a phone, ending a phone call, than walk in my house with my kids running up to me and daddy saying, shh, no, be quiet, 100%. be quiet. And waste or use my 30 minutes outside, come in and spend only 30 minutes with them with no phones disappeared, and be dedicated. Do I achieve this every single day? No, we are humans. Like, that is what it is. Like, however, you better believe, like, every opportunity I get to set down the phone, set down and give them my absolute undivided attention, I'm there doing it. And you're right. Like, that's the impactful stuff. That is the impactful stuff. And you even said too, like, playing Fortnite, you think you don't get the same connection that you would get if you weren't playing Fortnite. Like, you were doing something outside that's like using our minds in a different way, right? So, like, I'm sure this podcast, for example, would be better if we were in person than looking at a screen, right? Like, that we're victim of that right here, and that's like a very important piece of it. So, but yeah.
I mean, I love playing Fortnite. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we have a blast playing Fortnite. I mean, my son is amazing. He carries the team for sure. My number one phrase is, "I'm knocked, come revive me." But so I think it's super fun. Like, we have a blast playing together. But if I'm like really going deep, and I'm thinking, man, what is he going to remember from 2022 when he's 30 years old? I mean, it like all the Fortnite wins probably isn't going to be the thing that's at the top of the list. He might remember, like, oh yeah, man, we did win a lot of Fortnite back then. Right. But it's probably going to be like, oh, some of these crazy, different adventures that we go on. I think he's gonna be like, man, walking the beach in Dominican Republic, or, sure, whatever. Like, it's going to be some of those things that come to mind. I mean, for us as a family, the only other thing that we do that's almost every night, except for Saturdays, we don't really do it on Saturdays because we mostly watch UFC, but we always sit at the dinner table and have dinner together. And I think, again, that's like another moment where we're, where we have a connection when we know phones are there and stuff. But just trying to find like a couple moments every day that you can like come back, create a connection, whether that's, with your spouse, with your kids, and if you have multiple kids, probably like with each one individually, on some level, versus it always being a group activity.
Yeah, it's tough. We, for the longest time, so we got 3 kids, and for the longest time we had a situation when my son was born, where we didn't eat at the dinner table every night. Like, that was completely lost. So, like, into my wife's 3rd pregnancy, first 6 or so months of him being born, when he couldn't sit in a high chair by himself and be fed, right? So however long that was. Well, we stopped that, and we're back at the dinner table darn near every night as best as possible, right? And taking that same thing, and you are 100% on. There's something about that. However, my daughters are little boogers, and they don't, they had a hard time sitting down and all that stuff, which is understandable. I mean, they're 5, 3, and I'm in a tough age, but we did. And to anybody listening, and we'll come to a close here shortly after this, but to anybody listening, we bought this book. My wife saw it, called Dinner Winner, online. Guy had some fantastic marketing, right? Like, I love your books that you do, by the way. And he had a fantastic marketing. So it's called Dinner Winner, and it's a long freaking book. You're supposed to read it before dinner, and you have a trophy. You literally get a trophy. And at the end of dinner, you select who was the dinner winner, who asked the most questions, who was the most engaged, who attempted to eat their food, who, boom, you just list it out. And when we brought that out, the kids just completely changed. However, we only did dinner winner for like a week. That was months ago. And they still, like, every once in a while, I'll be like, when I can feel the energy just like low, I'm like, who wants dinner winner tonight? And they're like back at it. But it's so funny to watch my 5-year-old interact with my 3-year-old coming in and saying, hey, sis, how was your day today? And asking the 3-year-old that question out without me saying you should ask it. Without me instigating those things, them asking how my day went, me being able to have that, whatever that conversation looks like, is so important. And it's without a phone. It's just us sitting down eating good old food in whatever capacity is. So there's a lot of truth in what you're speaking here, and it's good to hear that. Continue to hear that other dads and other families are out there doing the best they can, right? Like, and coming up with ways that are important. Yep. So
for sure,
very cool.
It's a fail forward, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, somebody said you're not, if you're not trying, you're not failing, or if you're not failing, you're not trying, right? And that's the reality of what we're in. So, well, I was gonna get into something else. Maybe we have a second podcast, because I'm always curious about your bourbon stuff. Maybe we even just hammer it out. I love seeing that stuff too. And believe it or not, my mom and stepfather, they own a winery in North Carolina, and they're starting a bourbon business. So they're starting a bourbon distillery. So it's like super cool. I'm helping them with like the logo stuff now, and I just love everything you're doing. It's such a fun thing, right? The hunt for some bourbon is that's tough. It's just tough. So we'll save that for another day. Maybe, I don't know. So just because it's that could be a whole Pandora's box of conversation at the end of the day. So
I'm excited to see how it is in Oklahoma. I guess how the hunting is there. I mean, right now being out in the mountains, it's extra tough. I mostly only hunt when I really go to the city, or just buy from secondary groups on Facebook. If there's something I'm really looking for. But it's fun. And out here, the other thing about getting back to the city is just having people to try it with in real life, and because that's to me it's way more interesting to crack a bottle and try it with some friends versus I'm just here at my house, like, and my wife has just asked me what I think about it, or whatever. So it's the social aspect again is what I enjoy about it, aside from like just trying stuff. I think it's a fun social activity.
Oh yeah, trust me, it's not any fun to. I 100% agree with you. I have no problem having my go-to drink. I have things that I'll drink by myself or have by myself and stuff like that. But when I get something new and I'm like, oh, that was freaking good, I want to share it with somebody. I don't want to just share it with my wife, because my wife gets that every night, right? She gets that joyous of me being able to share stuff with her like that. But like, this is beyond that. There's friends and there's more people out there. It's like, hey, did you try this combination, or just this new bourbon, or this? So it just brings people together, which is awesome. It's awesome.
For sure.
So, well, last thing I always ask people, any advice you want to leave the listeners with?
Well, that's great. Man, I think life is really short. I think sometimes the days can feel long, but the years can feel really short, especially when you're looking at, time with your kids in your house and before they leave. They say that you've spent about 90% of the time you're going to spend with your kids before they're 18. And so I think if you think about, all of that, and sometimes it can feel tough to juggle everything that you want to accomplish, as a man, as a business owner, as, your unique self. But it's just making sure that you find those moments of connection, because ultimately, I want to be friends with Maxwell when he's an adult. And
sure.
And so it's trying to make sure that he likes me, and, and he doesn't just like leave and never comes back. And so I think finding that time now and those points of connection with each kid, as unique as they are, I think is all really important right now. So make sure that you, just ultimately time, here's there was a story that my dad told me, and it was of a guy passed away, and, they were looking in his journal, and they found this day, and, in the journal it said, "I went fishing with my son, didn't catch a thing, worst day ever." Right. And the son was like, "Oh, I wonder what I wrote that day." So he goes and finds his journal from being a kid, and pulls up the same day, and it said, "Went fishing with dad, best day ever." Right. And I think that is so true, right? It's like sometimes it's just about the time, and it's just about being there and creating that relationship. And like for me, again, I don't want it to end when I'm 18. And I see sometimes that happens with people, right? They have terrible relationships with their parents, and then there is no relationship after they move out. And, so I think I was trying to remind myself of that, is like, this isn't just a relationship right now. It's like a parent-child. I mean, we'll always have that parent-child relationship, but at some point we can also be like friends, when he's an adult and, I'm not footing his bill and all that kind of stuff, we can just be more friends. And so I want to make sure that exists. And I think you have to put in time now in order for that to happen.
No, I agree. And it's, like I said, we have limited time, and if you're not invested in that limited time to its maximum potential, we truly are losing out. And that falls into what I will leave the quote with, because this takes it one step further. And you are showing this happening. Now, maybe your kid goes into the military in some capacity one day, and that would be a true testament to the statement. But if not, it's okay, because I think the camaraderie is going to follow suit. What you teach your children, you also teach their children. It's such an important, impactful statement, because that's a reality. That's what we're doing here, right? We're teaching generational things, and take it to money, to life, to business, love, faith, whatever you want to across the board on that. That's how we're impacting the world right now. And it's not just our kids, it's our kids' kids and our kids' kids and stuff like that. So we had to start it now. We can't hold back. We can't wait. They always say the time is now. So that is it. But that's what I got. So Nick, any last comments or anything else before we hop off here? I really appreciate you being on.
No, Grayson, appreciate it. This was awesome. Thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem. It was a lot of fun. Guys, make sure that you go and follow the podcast, share the podcast, do all those fun things. I never know what to ask. They always tell me I should make this up, but I like the fact that it's real, raw, and relevant, and I suck at it. So it just makes it all fun and games as, we try to figure out how to grow this bad boy. So I really appreciate Nick being on here. Always plug anybody that's got anything going on. Make sure you check out what he's got going on. I'll tell you, he's got a bunch of cool stuff happening, and you really should invest in these people, because it's really neat. You could be a loan officer, a real estate agent that needs connections and stuff like that. You want to learn how to generate business, and he's got a really cool challenge going on, trying to, like, the billionaire challenge of sorts. Like, you want to take your stuff to the next level. I can tell you, this guy can help you take it to the next level in more ways than one. Just following him will help you take your life to the next level. I truly believe that. So thank you again for being on, and stay tuned to the next episode, guys. Have a good one.
What's up, Dad? Hey, Dad, what's up?